All of the physical aspects of the universe fall down to simple mathematical things. Is everybody familiar with the Fibonacci spiral? Okay, for those of you who aren't, it's pretty simple. You take the number 1 and you add it to another 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, 1 plus 2 is 3, 2 plus 3 is 5, 3 plus 5 is 8, 5 plus 8 is 13, 21, 34, and on and on and on and on and on ad infinitum. You'll see it everywhere in nature. Trees create branches based on this, and flower petals based on this. And the great thing is, if you take these two numbers and you divide, you get 2 by 1 is 2. 2 and 3 in divide is 1.5. The halfway measure in here keeps getting closer and closer and closer to 1.618, which is what they call the golden mean, or pi. Absolutely everything in the universe is based on this. The length of this part of my finger to that is 1 to 1.6. The length of this part of my finger to that finger is 1 to 1.6. The length of this to this is 1 to 1.6. This to this, 1 to 1.6. It's everywhere. It's a universal rule. Back with that other figure that we had here, this figure keeps going around and it does the same things over and over again, creates another thing around here, and eventually it forms a symbol that is known as the flower of life. In this, all of these are feminine. Everything that is a curve is feminine energy, okay? But if I take the centre and I connect it to another one here, I get a straight line. And if I take the centre here and connect it to another one, I get a straight line. When you do all of the straight lines and connect up here, they're all masculine energies. You create every single subatomic crystalline structure that everything is built on. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Every part of your body is in here. And there's a thing called Metronon's cube, and that's, I'm flying through this stuff because you can grab the book if you're more interested in it, but it gives you some background into what we're going on. Here's an interesting thing. This image has been found various places around the world. In particular, there's a temple in Egypt in Abydos, and this temple is over 100,000 years old, and it sits behind the Temple of Seti. And the Egyptologists tell you that they dug this temple 50 feet into the ground and then put these massive red granite blocks in there. Yeah, that really makes sense, that you would dig it underground and then put the blocks in. What does make sense is it was built and then at some time some massive tsunami came over and covered it up to the hilt. And then they built another temple on the ground beside it because they knew it was there. But this temple's been excavated, and if you get the chance to go to Egypt, you have to go there. It's extraordinary. There's no hieroglyphics on any of the major big red granite blocks in temples. None. And there's a reason for that. I'm not going to go into it, but if you're interested in Egypt, I can go into it. But what is interesting is this symbol is on these blocks. It's not painted on. It's not drawn on. It's not carved on. It is laser etched into the stone.
Okay, moving right along, this guy's one of my favourite guys actually. Anybody know Mr. Fibonacci? Right, well, he was the Steve Jobs of the time. He influenced civilization far, far more than we actually believed. He introduced a proper counting system because in those days all they had was Roman numerals. Well, not many people today can even read Roman numerals, but I challenge any of you to do multiplication and division with them. Okay, it's just impossible really. So civilization couldn't progress until he didn't bring the system, he collected it from the Arabs and the Indians. Indians were far ahead of us for a long time. Now, I've showed you here Fibonacci sequences. How many people understand all of nature is Fibonacci sequences? You can see this the way human beings are put together, the number of fingers, the number of joints, seashells, that beautiful passion flower, you've got the Fibonacci numbers at the front, in the middle and in the back. All those petals all add up to that particular sequence. All of nature runs on Fibonacci sequences, and I presume that that would also be on outer space, and you'll see the reasons why later on. Now, if it does happen that you encounter something in nature that isn't Fibonacci sequences, the chances are that it's genetically engineered. Okay, and that's the problem with genetic engineering. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. But anyway, that's another story for you to investigate. So the seashells, all these progressions of these cells are all part of a Fibonacci sequence. Do you remember who said that? It's not easy being green? Yeah, Kermit the Frog. Now, plants are green because they actually reflect all, that they absorb all other light, but they reflect green because they don't want green, okay? But plants are most incredible things, and if ever you think you're going to get bored with life, just look at plants. They are so complicated, we know so little about them, and they're all sizes from microorganisms to giant forests, and it doesn't make sense. Sometimes the biggest trees have the smallest seeds. But not all plants are green, actually, and those that live right down on the floor of the jungle, because there's not much light there, they do all sorts of adaptations to maximize their light, and one of those we're actually copying now with our solar panels, because what these plants do is they actually are silver, and the light goes through the transparent leaves once, hits the silver backing on the leaf and comes back out again. So they take 2 bites at each ray. Well, we're doing that to some of our solar panels now, so that we pick up electricity on the way in and reflected on the way out. So as I say, plants are my background, and they're amazing. And of course, so are animals. And for those of you who don't know, actually, Australia is now recognised as being the home of nearly all birds. All the DNA analysis shows that most birds originated in Australia. Well, why not? It's a very old continent, if not the oldest. I took that photograph myself, actually. Isn't it a wonderful picture? And this is a more local guy. You've seen these ones. The cover note I've got for this guy is, "Read my lips." See this along here? Every one of those lizards has a different barcode along there. That's virtually an identification barcode.